Hello, everyone, and welcome to the stream. So happy to see you all. Hello, Vaughn. Thank you for a 54-month resub. That streak, unbroken, unbent, unbowed. You love to see it. How's my favorite fish lover doing? You unfortunately missed the stream where we did encounter fish people and we tried to riz them. Unsuccessfully, tragically. It's because you were there exactly. The planet broke before my substrate did. You know, Vaughn, I appreciate you being my strongest fish enthusiast soldier. Always staying vigilant, supporting me after all these years. But I hope you're doing well today, Vaughn. Just typing up the little pinned message to remind people. So, yeah, today has been oh, hello, Christy. Welcome, welcome. Today has been me applying for jobs, some more, as is the eternal struggle of an Obsidia in her post-employment state. Um, but yeah, I'm also excited to. You're full of post-birthday cheesecake and thriving. Was it your birthday recently, Vaughn? Did you not notify me that it was your birthday? How dare you? Um, But yeah, so today we are going to be hopping back into our adventure. I think we're near the end. This might be the last stream. I'm not certain. Hey Loth, welcome, welcome. It was the 15th. Gosh, Vaughn, why didn't you tell me? I would have done a little server announcement about it. Disappointing, Vaughn. Disappointing. I'll have to do that after stream. Uh, but previously on, we part of our pirate crew journeyed to find a map to Oki Island. When we went to a map, we found an abandoned floating city full of fish people, and uh, that's fine, Locke. That's fine. Um, and we had to flee with our lives. The butler that we kind of Shanghai recruited also perished among a sea of fish people. We then fought a giant floating sky jellyfish that we were able to defeat through our crafty guitarmanship, as well as tossing a whole bunch of vinegar and acid on it. And then we eventually arrived at Oki Island, where we began journeying into this strange alien environment where we met a giant tanuki lady and we past speak with animals and chatted with her a bit, and she was very snoozy. Um, and then we progressed deeper in, and we just got like jumped by a bunch of giant sunflowers, and I think some tomfoolery is about to occur. So we left off on section 262. Yep, the old exploding jellyfish, a tale as old as time. So, without further ado, we hit the sunflower line of the Plants vs. Zombies defense. Exactly, exactly. Okay, as a friendly reminder, this is a chat votes on everything we do stream. So, as various selections happen, I will let chat know, hey, vote A, B, or C, or whatever in chat, and we will go with whoever has the most. If there is a tie result, then I just roll off in roll 20 to see which we do. So, the rotting bits of sunflower beneath your feet coalesce into a vaguely humanoid form. Twisted pieces of rotten. Oh, I gotta turn the music. I'm sorry. Let me know if it's too loud or too quiet. Uh, Twisted pieces of rotten sunflower form its limbs and torso as strong roots reach for you and your companions. You're in a fight for your life as the island itself seems to attack and restrain you. The captain, Opal, Rain, and Ribcage are also trapped in thick roots and struggling to free themselves. Further back, other members of the crew cry out in fear or pain as you see them bound in thick cocoons of squeezing tendrils. I appreciate you, Vaughn, being our voting on behalf of the harem route. You know, somebody's got to do it. Oh my god, this is a lot of options. Holy cow. So we've got each round on your turn, you may use an action to free one of your companions. We have the Captain Opal, Ribcage, Rain, or we could just fucking murder this flower. Voice is a bit soft in the music. Oh no! Give me a sec. How about that? Okay. Making sure everything is appropriate. Alright. So we are fighting a very big sunflower. That means we switch over to El Battle Napo. Oh no. Opal is some kind of mage, is what we know about her. She's got, like, a sword. She has been mastering the blade, but she's mostly just been casting magic. So, in light of combat, let's pause the BGM, and let us switch over to our battle music. Alright, so we're gonna roll for initiative for us and the giant plant. So we, not doing so hot with an 11, while the giant plant has a -1 to initiative. So it's this minus 1, so a 5, so we still go first. Alright, this is a giant plant. So chat, should we try and free a crew member or try and beat up the plant? What do you think? Too fast for plant. You vote free ribcage. Okay, let's go free ribcage. Also, if you were wondering what this thing looked like, that is our giant evil sunflower. Alright, so to free ribcage, go. Alright, you move to free ribcage, and you can see that the ropes of vegetation holding him are already straining against his great strength. You just have to clear a few roots before he bursts from his restraints and whips the massive warhammer off his back. But first he favors you with a nod of thanks. He even grunts. Then he starts swinging his enormous weapon at your attacker with little apparent concern for his own safety. Ribcage uses his massive hammer to smash your enemy to pieces. As long as he is free, he deals 10 damage to the carnivorous sunflower per round. Excellent. I'm assuming that would probably be in the round after he is freed rather than this round. So let me just take a quick note in chat, or in the Roll20. Ribcage, 10 damage on my initiative each turn. There we go. Which is a lot, because this plant only has, like, 42 hit points. Initiative is always one of the most misspelled words for me, and I don't care. I do not care. Alright, Sunflower's turn. What does this thing do? Okay. So, if you are not restrained at the beginning of the carnivorous sunflower's turn, it attempts to grab you with its tendrils. Make an opposed ability check with either strength or dexterity. If you fail, you gain the restrained condition. On your turn, you can try bust free, and obviously the sunflower is not affected by it. That raises a question. So as long as he is free, Well, he doesn't have stats, so I'm assuming that they can't become re-restrained, because I don't know how I would handle that. um, Short of just making up a number for his athletics. Okay, so at the beginning of my turn, it's gonna try and put me in some bondage, give me a real fondling. I am unfortunately not trained in either acrobatics or athletics, but I'm pretty good at acrobatics, all things considered, so it's DC 12. I got a 10! Cranberries. I'm sorry to see if there's any way I could cheat out of that, but it does not seem so. Alright, well, we got restrained. Oof. Okay, so we are now restrained, which I think gives advantage on all attack rolls and stuff. Let me quickly Google the restrained condition. I always forget it. I always forget most D&D conditions, so kind of to be expected. Alright, so restraint is... your speed becomes 0, and attacks against you have advantage, and you have disadvantage on attack rolls and disadvantage on dexterity saving throws. Oof. What a brutal condition. The good news is, chat, the good news is you have to be restrained at the beginning of the plant's turn to take damage. So currently we're just restrained. It can't hurt us this turn. But it also means we can't free anyone else. Man, Ribcage really gonna be carrying this fight, apparently. You're afflicted with schmuck. -2 to your dex skills. Alright, so we are currently restrained. Now, at the start of our turn, we, where'd my roll 20 go? So, we, have Ribcage, does 10 damage automatically. So, the Ribcage comes stomping up as, Gobbie Lynn is being squeezed, her ample bosom, you know, practically bursting with flavor as these vines wrap above and below him. And her, you know, bodacious posterior is also being squeezed accordingly. I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going. As she strains to try and get her trusty bass guitar ready to bust out some slammin' tunes. Ribcage comes running up with his warhammer and just smashes right into the trunk of this here sunflower, inflicting 10 damage. See just a chunk of rotting plant matter fly across the scene. We are restrained. What are we gonna do? We are going to... Alright, here's a spicy take, Bat. Spicy take. Are you ready for the rock spice? So my idea is, if we cast Thunder Wave and the enemy fails their Constitution saving throw, I think we could justify that we basically burst our way out of the restraint. Especially because it's a 15-foot AoE. So, you know, we can bust out of the restraint using that as our action. Does that seem fair? Alright. So, Gobbie Lynn, in that case, is going to, while restrained, she reaches for her bass guitar and tries to slam a power chord against this giant sunflower, doing 7 thunder damage. It has a +3 to its Constitution saving throw, so let's see, it has to fail a DC 13, so we need it to roll a natural 9 or lower. Damn it, a 14! So, Gobbie Lynn slams the power chord against these tendrils and stuff, and, you know, many of the vines get knocked free as the thunderous music just shatters their feeble plant matter, but the plant is able to quickly recover and starts springing more vines onto her, and so she is still restrained. There we go. Ah! Ah! There we go. Okay. So on the plant's turn, we are restrained, so we automatically take 1d4 plus 2 damage. Real cringe. Well, thank God. We only take 3 damage. Her bosom must have absorbed the kinetic force. Understandable. I know that's the problem when it's a 15-foot block stretching from you. If your bosom is too ample, they have a risk of being caught in the AoE. You know how goblin hands are? Their arms rarely go past their bazongas. Alright, so the plant starts squeezing us. On our turn, the plant is going to take another 10 damage from Ribcage, trying to bust free. I want to break free. Okay, actually, here is an interesting question, chat. Do we want to? We're gonna give Ribcage an optional rule, where do you think that in lieu of Ribcage doing 10 damage, we could have him allow us to do a check, like an acrobatics check with advantage to try and break free of the vines? Which do you think would be better, just the 10 damage or giving us a chance to bust out? Let me know. Currently, you think he'd respond if we asked him to? Okay. We're gonna shoot that shot. So Gobbie Lynn, being squeezed, looks down at Ribcage and goes, "Ribcage, please help! I just need a little assistance, trying to break free." And Ribcage goes, "Ugh," and he will walk over, dropping his warhammer to the side as he tries to strain, pulling at the vines. Gobbie Lynn is going to do a advantage acrobatic check to try and bust free. And she succeeds! So, with Ribcage pulling at the vines, his muscles straining, Gobbie Lynn is straining her corset, and you see that some of the boning on her corset kind of pops free, and the additional bosom bouncage is able to spring the vines off of Gobbie Lynn, and she tumbles to the ground, free. Hey, Alistair, welcome, welcome! Alrighty, so that's gonna be the end of our turn, is us busting free. The sunflower is gonna try and restrain us again. Quite tragic. Nat 20, baby! What? So, as more vines try to spring over to grab her after she bursts them free with her curves, Gobbie Lynn starts playing away at her guitar, and just this bubble of bardic sonic energy is emanating from her, supported by the bouncing of her tits in rhythm. The sound of her cheeks clapping is driving away the vines from wrapping around her, as she basically looks like the guitarist from Fury Road, hanging from the car. Dun, 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 dun. And so, with that, we come back to Gobbie Lynn's turn. Do we want her to try and free somebody, or do we want her to attack the plant? She can free the captain, Opal, or Rain. Or we can attack the plant. What do you guys think? Like Captain, yeah, we're talking about Randy. Good old Randy. Randy Sharp Smile, or whatever the fuck name he goes by. Hey Master Fail, welcome. You vote we free Rain next? Okay, any other votes? Okay, so we got to vote for Rain. We're going to go, unless anybody else votes, that's what we're going to do. So let's go over to old Rain McCain. Okay. Rain's face is painted with fear as they struggle with their restraints. On the edge of panic, you approach slowly and carefully to remove the tendrils binding the young sailor, though the task is made harder by their struggles. When you finally free Rain, they sigh with relief and then split into 2 copies. Thanks, the original says to you. Let's not get tied up like that again. Rain splits into several duplicates to assist you and the others. As long as they are free, you have advantage on any skill checks and saving throws. Hell yeah. So that means whenever the plant tries to grab us, we're just going to have advantage going forward. Fuck yeah. So the, on my turn, the, now that Ribcage has freed me, he can attack. So he bonks it for 10 more damage. We free Rain. And, yeah, Ribcage, now that I'm free, gives me the nod of approval, the silent nod, as he picks up his Warhammer again and starts, like, just spinning with inertia, smashing through vines. And, now Rain starts duplicating and running around trying to deflect the vines before they grab people, which leads us to the plant's turn again. It's gonna try and grab us. We have advantage on this. 19, we're still good. We're still quote-unquote Gucci gang. Thanks to Raid and everybody, you know, Gobbie Lynn slamming away at her guitar. At the start of her turn, Ribcage is now, like, jumping up and slamming through the plant, knocking it to the side. Some of its, you know, vegetative fucking teeth come snapping out of its maw as it flops over, but it's still wiggling, but it ain't doing so hot. It has currently 5 hit points left. Do we want to free somebody, or do we want to try and finish it off? What do you guys think? Finish it off, or free another person? We gotta vote for finishing it off. Anybody else? Finish him. Alright. So, we're gonna try and finish it off then. So, Gobbie Lynn is going to take her guitar. Oh, I forgot. He actually took less damage. My bad. He's actually at more hit points than I thought he was. Because I forgot he takes half damage from the Thunder Wave if he succeeds. So that's going to be 4 damage. So he is at 33 out of 42. Which, in light of that, we technically can finish it off in 1 attack. It is less likely, because we would be doing 1d8 plus 3. So we would have to roll at least a 6 on our damage die out of our d8 to officially kill it. In light of this information, do you guys still wish us to try and finish it off, or to free somebody else? If we go to free somebody else, it's gonna mean that Ribcage is gonna kill it at the start of our next turn. My thought is that Gobbie Lynn is the kind of person who would probably try to steal the kill. That's just my guess, but I'll do whatever you guys want. Kill stealing it is. Alright, so we attack. We hit! Let's see how much damage we do. 9 damage exactly! What? So fucking Gobbie Lynn over here. Also, math is hard. I think we would have killed it on 8 damage. But, so, Gobbie Lynn, fucking, you know, guarding all these vines, playing her guitar, as she gets close to this knocked over fucking sunflower monster. She gives a nod to Ribcage in response, as she turns around her guitar into like an axe, and she fills it full of sonic bardic power as she slams it down right into the mouth and face of this plant. And the sheer rock and roll of it just starts like evaporating the plant, kind of like Sarah Connor in Terminator 2 when she's against the fence as the nuclear explosion goes off. The plant just starts disintegrating as it is overwhelmed with the power of rock and roll. And it just starts to evaporate in front of her as she then stands there triumphantly. Getting her glorious victory music. Out of curiosity, I'm gonna check to see what Opal and Sharp Smile would have done if we would have freed them, just because I'm curious. So, if we got the captain, he would have. Oh shit! The captain would have given us advantage on all of our attack rolls. And then Opal would have given us interesting. So Opal would have used her magic to lower the DC of our attempt to like avoid getting grappled or getting restrained by the plant to only a DC 8. So good to know. I think we definitely Ribcage was definitely the right call, Vaughn. Ribcage was definitely the right call. That DPS, bananas. Alrighty. So, with that, we'll turn the music back on. And since we took the plant to 0, we get to drop to 272. With a final blow, the creature melts away into a pile of mulch and quickly decaying flower petals. The pirates stand around you panting for breath as the tendrils fall limp to the ground. Captain Sharpsmile surveys the scene and helps you to your feet. Much as I wanted to free Opal, I knew we needed some muscle. Understandable, Vaughn. It was the right call. Not bad at all. He pants. You're shaking as you all head back on track, following the captain the rest of the mercifully short journey to the other side of the floral forest. Here you find yourselves at the base of the huge volcano in the center of the island. Suddenly the pouch on the captain's belt starts jumping around frantically, and in surprise he opens the catch. The jeweled egg jumps straight out of it, rolling along the ground to bump against the mountainside, where it starts hopping, clearly attempting to get higher. With obvious trepidation, the eyes of all the crew swivel upward when they realize it's telling you what you're going to have to climb. When it's telling you that you're going to have to climb the volcano. As the cliffside in front of you is impossibly steep and filled with obviously loose stones, you collectively decide to travel around the base of the volcano, looking for an easier way up. You spend a long time trudging the circumference of the mountainside, but your efforts are for naught. With no other choice, the crew realizes they're going to have to climb up the sheer side of the volcano. At first thought, and spirits are low as a chorus of groans surfaces. Ah yes, the volcano climax of adventuring classics. You know, everyone talks about the volcano climax, but when you think about it, every volcano climax is also a volcano climax, because it always involves it ejecting fluid, or ejecting a substance from its open tip onto the area around it. Perhaps you could say giving the landscape an adventuring facial. Just something to think about whenever you're watching a volcano movie. Trying her best not to look smug, Opal pulls a bright green feather out of her bag, whispers a few magical words, and begins to float vertically up the cliff face. Make a athletics or dexterity check, or if you have a climbing or flying speed, you can just do it. So, alright, we're going to do acrobatics because we're obviously better at that. So let's see what we get. We have a +4 to this. We need a 13. We got a 16, baby! All day, every day. Things are easy when you're Gobbie Lynn. Victorious Goblin up in this here inn. So we beat the DC 13. It's all coming up, Bernadette. Yeah, baby! After some effort, you reach the midway point of the climb, so there's no turning back. The captain is huffing as he clambers up the side, while Ribcage lumbers so heavily up the cliff, you can feel the vibrations as he moves. He doesn't seem to notice the effort of heaving his bulk up the cliff wall. Hey Tyrus, welcome, welcome. Yes, we're doing our 4th session of solo D&D. Chat votes on everything we do. We just defeated a giant sunflower plant monster with the power of our enormous bazongas and rock and roll. So we are currently climbing up a volcano. If you were wondering what we look like, we are here. That is Gobbie Lynn Bernadette, our trusty goblin bard, drawn by me based on chat's suggestions of how they wanted her to be. Okay. I lost my page. Right. Okay. I love enormous bazongas. I'm a simple NB. Okay, he doesn't seem to notice the effort of heaving his bulk. Rain, on the other end, seems to actually be enjoying the climb, using their mechanical arm to create new handholds, and using their experience in ship's rigging to practically glide up the rock face. Man, we have to roll again! Okay, so we're gonna do another acrobatics check. Dirty 20, baby, dirty 20, dirty 20. The reason why we get dirty 20s is because they are not, in fact, natural. So we go to 290. It's a hard climb for most, especially after trying to hack your way through the jungle, but you're all able to make it. You wipe the sweat from your brow as you heave yourself onto a plateau in the volcano's side. As you stumble onto the flat ground, you feel the captain's little hand reach out, grabbing your attention. He nods forward and gestures, "Look." You follow where he points and see the huge, daunting mouth of a cave. It leads up into the volcano, having carved a massive chunk of its side, or out of its side. Gigantic stalagmites and stalactites jut from the ceiling and floor, giving the whole thing an appearance of an enormous maw. The others head forward and find something very interesting indeed, an abandoned campsite. A handful of canvas tents have been erected, but they are utterly empty, except for the half a dozen skeletons around. Judging by the leaf and twig debris, they haven't been touched for a very long time either. The ground off to one side of the campsite has strange marks in it, and there is a treasure chest just visible next to one of the tents, although even from here, it's obviously already been smashed into. Captain Sharpsmile, Opal, Rain, and Ribcage glance around at each other and spread out to have a closer look at this strange sight. At a couple of quick orders from the captain, the rest of the crew fan out to set up a brief camp. Alright, here is your vote, chat. Do we want to examine the broken chest, look at the strange marks on the ground, or the long dead bodies? Press A or type A, B, or C into chat to decide. A for the chest, B for the ground, C for the bodies. That's what you gotta do. Do-do-do-do-do. Which do you choose for us to see? A broken chest or some marks on the ground, or maybe a dead body? Amazing chest ahead. So we have 2 votes for the chest. Any other votes? Any other votes, me hearties? Can't turn down a good chest. We're nothing if not seekers of chests. Damn. You guys really just, you're speaking to my soul. Alright, so we go to 265. The captain is already looking at the cracked open treasure chest. While not especially lavish, it was clearly of good quality, with heavy brass fittings and thick wood. It would have taken a lot of force to break it open like this. Peering inside, you see what appears to be a tray covered entirely with large round depressions. There are an even dozen of them. I wonder, the captain mutters. He pulls the jeweled egg from his pouch and sets it onto one of the depressions. It fits perfectly. But what does it mean? Double rainbow, what does it mean? The goblin doesn't acknowledge you at all as he stands toying with his tuft of beard. He just stares at the egg occupying just one of the indents, apparently custom made for this very purpose. Okay, so this is one of those things where we can go check out everything or leave. So rather than vote on it and we just do each of the different searches, I'm going to leave it to, do you want us to continue searching the site or do you want us to just peace out? So A to search, B to leave. Those are options. A to search, A to search, B for leaving, B for leaving. Alright, we got 2 for search. Any other votes? Alright, give me a few more seconds, then we'll just keep on searching. We already found the eggs. What harm could it be to keep searching? Dangerous words, Tyrus. Dangerous words. We're going to keep searching, so let's go check out the marks on the ground. Rain and Ribcage are standing over the strange marks on the ground. They look like long, wide scrapes. As you approach, you realize that they are larger than originally thought. What do you think this is? Rain wonders. Ribcage shakes his head, holds out his arms as wide as they can go, then flexes a bicep. Ow. I just knocked my glasses onto my nose painfully. Agreed, Rain says with a nod. Something large and heavy was dragged out of the cave, then back in. But I don't see any signs of someone carrying it. Could that have disappeared over time? Or maybe something moved itself? All that you could add to their assessment is that the edges of the apparent drag marks are very regular, so this seems to be a straight-edged object. It doesn't do drugs, it's very straight-edged. Alright, now we're gonna go look at the bodies. As you approach the bodies, you see Oval is standing over them, chanting, casting spells over the remains. Just making sure that they stay dead, she says without prompting, and examining the area for anything magical. Seems that everything is magical, or nothing. Oki Island is just weird, it seems. Looking over at the bodies, you see that they are bent and twisted with multiple broken bones. It's as if they fell from a great height, or they were thrown with great force. Looking up, there are no visible ledges or prominences on the side of the volcano. In fact, it's just a steep slope covered in loose volcanic glass, all the way up to the smoking crater. Well, that should do it. Opal nods her head, proudly at a job well done. With another odd nod to you, she wanders away from the corpse she was working on. Alright, that is it. We're gonna go move on. Look at those fruits! A tasty coconut. Looks like this is the perfect place to rest, the captain says. We'll set up just inside the cave mouth and bunk down till morning. Thank the gods, groans Opal. Sitting down heavily, Ribcage huffs a similar sentiment, stalking out an area in one corner for himself. Rain gives one of the dead bodies a nervous glance, but the apparent wariness on their face seems to override any anxiety they might feel about the corpses. I'll take watch, Opal says. As long as I can rest my legs, I'll be fine. She goes on to say that her meditation is light, so no need to relieve her. The captain doesn't think twice and flops down under a tent. Rain is more cautious, but also finds a place to settle in for the night, under another mostly intact tent. Trust Opal's vigilance and set in for a long rest, or point out the dangers and just take a short rest. Which would you guys rather us do? Let Opal give us long, or should we take a short? We've used 1 spell slot and we're down 3 hit points. Just as an FYI. So, A for long rest, B for short rest. A for a long rest, B for a short rest. Those are the rests that are the best. Alright, so we have 2 votes for a short rest. Any other votes? Alright, B it is. Let's take that short rest. We gain an inspiration point. Fuck yeah. Guys, if something killed these people, it probably came out of the cave, so maybe we should, not just, totally go into raw snoozing mode? But the captain is already lying down under a tent with his feet up, so he looks down his nose at you. You can practically hear his thoughts running down a list of reasons to stay. It would only be a prudent, Captain, Rain says, though they are obviously exhausted as well. We could use the rest, but wouldn't it be a shame to share their fate? Opal says with a gesture towards the bodies. Especially when we're so close. The captain finally looks to Ribcage at a last line of support, but the bugbear is already standing at the ready. Fine, Captain Sharpsmouth finally says. Fine, I'd rather not die tired, but I can't say that I'm not excited to get a move on. Just give me an hour. With that, he pulls his hat over his face and starts snoring immediately. A smile passes round the pirates, with even Ribcage joining in. As you all take a load off your aching feet, we get a short rest. As if made of clockwork, the captain springs up exactly an hour later to hustle the rest of you to your feet and head into the cave. So, because we're getting a short rest, let's roll our hit die. 5, so we're now fully healed, but we are down 1 spell slot. Right, the captain calls. The crew assembles around him, all ears. We're going into those caves, and by we, I mean only the officers. There's a general chorus of grumbling from the crew, and the captain lets it rise into scattered yells before falling away into a low muttering. Are you done? He asks sternly. Because I got bigger things to worry about than your safety. So it'll be the 5 of us against the unknown. But it helps knowing that you are all aboard the Rapier Wit and ready to make a quick getaway. The crew's voices continue, but no longer in opposition to the captain. Instead, they seem amenable to the idea. In the words of a friend, honk shoe sleep on that thing. And that's an order! Randy leads the march, and the 5 of you begin your journey into the darkness of the cave, bolstered by his responsible leadership. The captain has inspired you. Roll a d6 and add this amount as a bonus to your next... Basically my next roll. Okay. I feel so inspired by this absolute fucking doofus of a man. 6, baby! Everything's coming up, Gobbie Lynn. We got a straight 6, so the next attack roll, saving throw, or skill check we make, we're gonna get a +6 to it. The captain beams, the sun glinting off his gold teeth and blinding you. Why, I've been so excited since I wrestled that mermaid for her treasure at the bottom of the briny sea. Go to 303. The further you walk into the volcano, the more the light begins to dim. Torches come out, and guided by firelight, the crew heads deeper into the cave. The heat increases. Everyone can feel it. To be fair, you are walking into the belly of an active volcano, so you're not sure why it never crossed your mind. You wipe your forehead and see the others around you are beginning to do the same. Shirts being undone for ventilation. Bandanas used as makeshift sweat towels. The cave is also nearly pitch black. You can only just make out a shimmering red glow further down the corridor. I like to think that Gobbie Lynn, cracks open a couple other, bones of her corset, and just extra bouncage happens as the sweat begins to pool on her ample bosom, and despite his best efforts, Ribcage is definitely eyeing it, as well as Opal and Rain. We're trying to get the harem bazonga goggling going on. Ugh, it's getting awfully hot in here. You know what they always say, if it's getting hot here, you should take off all your clothes. As Gobbie Lynn twiddles her eyebrows at everyone who immediately turns away from her ample bosom and blushes. All according to Kaikaku. You still have that package from the secondhand store, don't you, Rain? The captain asks sweetly. Rain takes out 2 pairs of brass-framed goggles held together by a brown leather strap. The lenses seem to be made of a dark crystal. I'm the only one who can't see in the dark, Rain says and hands you their alternate pair. Not sure if you can, but these should help you as well. The rest of the crew seems not to need them. Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, that's kind of a doubter. Goggles of Deep Night. So let's add Goggles of Deep Night. Okay, so Goggles of Deep Night give you plus 60 feet of dark vision if you already have dark vision, but if you hit a bright light, you're immediately blinded. Should we wear the goggles or not? Up to you guys. Do we want 120-foot dark vision or just be okay not being blinded? Technology imitates nature, but nature will never imitate technology, Brandy says with a wink. We normally have 60-foot dark vision because we're a goblin. The 5 of you are standing in a long corridor framed with stalactites. The rock is hot to the touch. Let's go. So basically we have the same dark vision as everyone else in the party. After about 100 paces, the party slows to a halt at a fork in the tunnels. On the left, you see that the darkness continues, strewn about the mouth of the tunnel that you can see. Cracked and broken bones, some showing signs of having been gnawed on. Okay, we got a vote to wear the goggles, so we will wear them unless anybody else feels otherwise. So we have 120-foot dark vision. On the right, the tunnel angles down slightly. A powerful heat emanates from that side, and you can see a dull orange glow farther down that route. Of course there's a split, isn't there? The captain sighs. All right, which way? Does the egg know? He sets the egg on the ground, hoping it will give you some sort of supernatural insight as to where it would be best to go. However, the egg doesn't appear to have a preference. If we want to use the miser's luck to get some insight, we can do that. Otherwise, we can pick the left or the right. Hey, Zathi! Yes, we are doing solo D&D. This is our first solo D&D adventure we're doing, called The Secret of Oki Island. This is our 4th session of it. So we are currently on this mysterious island with some pirates currently inside of a volcano. Okay, so chat, here are our options. We can use our magic item of treasure finding. Yeah, the miser's luck is our magic treasure finding item. If we spend a gold piece, it will direct us to the largest supply of, like, treasure within, I think it's like 1,000 feet of us. Or we could just say fuck it and pick a direction. So which would you guys rather do? Use our magic item, or go left or go right? A for miser's luck, B for go left, C for go right. Vote in chat. We got a vote for A. Any other votes? I have a bad feeling about the miser's luck. It's up to you. We've used it before to great effect. When in doubt, turn left. Okay, so we have a vote for miser's luck and a vote for turning left. Anybody want to be the tiebreaker? Perhaps our newly acquired Zafi? Oh, 2 votes for left. All right. Unless anybody else is gonna vote, we're just gonna go left. we're just gonna say fuck it and go left. We'll give 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going left, baby. Sorry, Vaughn. We gotta hoard all of our gold. Uh-oh. I don't like the look of this salamander-looking motherfucker. As the pirates are about to barrel forward, you hold up a hand and make them stop. You can hear a sound that can be mistaken for the crackle of boiling hot rock, but you're far too familiar with the noise of an inhuman growl to be fooled. The chamber you're about to enter is full of large stone pillars, so as you suddenly notice a vicious giant fire salamander darting in and out of them, pacing as if on the hunt, it's easy enough to stay in the shadows. You hear Captain Randy hiss in annoyance, clearly not enthralled at the idea of a battle. You head down the bone-strewn path with certainty, getting yourself ready for a fight, and emerge into the pockmarked chamber before you. The giant salamander is at least the size of a jaguar. It scrabbles around the walls of its home, spitting fire into the air every now and then. Hissing at nothing, its red body looks like it would burn you to touch, like a kettle left on the stove for too long. Despite its anger, it doesn't appear to have noticed you. This could be a perfect time to try and grab the upper hand. Alright, do we wish to try and surprise the salamander, or to just fucking jump it? So, A, to surprise an attack, B, to just attack. A, surprise, motherfucker! Gotta vote for surprise. Any other votes? Any other votes, me hearties? We got another vote for surprise. Vulcan lives! Vulcan lives! Alright, looks like we are gonna jump this guy. We got 3 votes for surprise. You nod towards the creature and mime the action of sneaking. Captain Randy grips his rapier in agreement, and you can see his gold teeth shining in the glow of the salamander's fire as he smiles. So now we make a stealth check. We have a +4 to stealth. We are untrained in it. We got a 15, baby, on a DC 10. Let's go. We're gonna bamboozle this motherfucker. We go to 315. You approach the salamander silently, leading the charge. Most of the crew hangs back, knowing they aren't light-footed enough to follow you down this route. Suddenly, Captain Randy surges forward, digging his rapier deep into the back of the beast. It lets out a terrible scream before turning on the captain, throwing him to the other side of the cavern with a mighty claw. You hear the goblin hit the wall and swear loudly. He's fine. Then, but the salamander opens its mouth and breathes hot flames, and suddenly a circle of fire surrounds the two of you, trapping you with it one-on-one. Roll 1d8 plus 2d6 from Captain Randy and deal it to the salamander. And we have a surprise round. Let's switch over to combat mode. Yep. Okay, so let's first turn to our battle music. Righteous battle! Alright. So we're starting off with Randy doing 1d8 plus 2d6. Nice! Strong showing. Randy doing 14 damage at the start of this fight. To the salamander. And then we fight it. We get a surprise round first. Man, this thing is technically a beast. We technically could have talked to it with our Speak with Animals, but the adventure, I guess, did not consider that a real option. So, yeah, so Randy jumps it. We have a surprise round. We're cut off, so it's just us fighting in this arena match. I only speak with knives. Let's roll initiative. The salamander has a +1 to its initiative. A 14, we have a +4. Oh, a nat 1! Oh, you hate to see it. Everything was going so well for us for so long. Okay, so the... Oh shit, this thing only has 19 hit points. God damn, Randy almost fucking murked it on the first attack. So, this thing is very messed up. Oh, but we have a surprise round! Ha ha ha! Surprise, motherfucker! So we get to go before it gets to go, even with our nat 1. Yeah, baby! You'll fucking love to see it. Okay, so do we want to try and bonk it or hit it with a spell? We only have to roll a 2 to kill it with our damage. Head into the old salamander monster girl barbecue. Let's bonk it. We're giving it the old bonkaroo. We have a situational +6 to this because of Randy's inspiration. So, we don't even need it. We don't even need it. But we got a 27 to hit this fucking salamander for 6 damage. So, we get enough to fucking obliterate. We ended the salamander's career. Alright, so fucking the salamander, very surprised by Randy stabbing it, knocks him to a wall, creates a fire circle around us. As it's kind of dazed from getting shanked so quickly, Gobbie Lynn flips around her bass guitar and just smashes it into the face of this salamander, sending teeth and crackle like lava-like stone scales everywhere as its skull just caves in from her bass guitar slamming into it. And this thing just flops down onto the ground, entirely lifeless. This poor salamander, it got fucking wasted. You love to see it. You love to see it. So yeah, we just fucking ended the salamander's career. So we go to page 309. Your final attack slams the fire salamander. It shrieks and begins to shrink, dying like the last embers of a campfire. Before it's fully extinguished, the wall of flames separating you from the crew is doused as they finish putting it out. Captain Randy rushes forward to check you're all right, and you assure him you've had worse. Please, it didn't even get a touch on me. I once defeated the Jabbersquawky. You know, I'm kind of a big deal. You've finished the last of the journey inward, and when you're all sure there are no further dangers hanging over you, the crew lets out a loud collective sigh of relief. Let's take a moment. I know it's hot, but I think we need to catch our breath. The crew all slumps to the floor, panting but happy to have a moment of rest. Rain begins to oil the joints of their arm, Ribcage puts down his weapon to stretch his muscles, and Opal hands out water skins and canteens, and everyone drinks their fill. We get the benefits of a short rest. We don't even need it. We didn't use any spells, and we didn't take any damage. Gobbie Lynn, during the short rest, is gonna sit down with the crew and start playing her guitar. She has Song of Rest as a class ability, so all of the crew get the benefits of Song of Rest as she starts playing. As we went down, 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 that ring of fire, that ring of fire. We went down, 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 but the flames, they got higher. And the crew finds this to be a very calming vibe as she gives them all like an extra d6 of health. if there is a situational thing for the crew that comes up, we're going to give them an extra d6 to that roll because we gave them Song of Rest. So, if any other character besides Gobbie Lynn has something come up, they get an extra d6 bonus to it because of her Song of Rest. Well, that was refreshing, the captain says after an hour. But now it's time to do the thing. There'll be time to rest when we're rich, or dead. He stands up, you and his crew members follow his lead forward and deeper into the cave. He looks over at Gobbie Lynn and goes, by the way, hell of a tune you can jam there. Yeah, you know, I'm kind of glad that I kidnapped you. A giant chest. There's Opal and there's fucking Randy. Randy's head is as wide as Opal's torso. The crew emerges onto a large rocky outcropping just slightly above a river of lava. You've never felt heat like this in your life. It's obviously we're gonna take off our goggles now that we're in this lava-filled room, you know, since it's probably too bright for them. It's a juggernaut, an endless barrage assaulting you. The lava bubbles and hisses beneath a terrible and menacing orange, moving as if alive. You're not alone on the outcropping, however. You're accompanied by the single largest fortune you've ever seen. Coins drift up around you so deep that you could wade through them. Jewels and precious objects lie haphazardly among them. There are gems the size of Ribcage's fist, and the telltale shimmer of magic artifacts everywhere. And then there's a sound. At first you worry about some fissure leaking gas or superheated steam, until you identify its source. Second. The captain is squealing with pure, unbridled joy. He babbles wordlessly, eyes dark, hands crooked into claws, and smiling so wide his face will probably be sore in the morning. The rest of the crew stand by, watching to see what he will do. Randy's that wide walking meme on the way to mutinying, 100%. It's Randy, Ribcage, Raid, and Opal as that meme doing the fucking, what's like Professor Langston stride or whatever. Then with a whoop, he leaps into the air and rushes into the mounds of treasure. Opal follows close behind, leaving the rest of you hurrying to catch up. You reach the captain and first mate standing in front of a massive treasure chest that dwarfs even Ribcage. I wonder what's inside, the captain breathes, reaching towards the container towering before him. Capitan, be careful, Rain calls out.
Well, I certainly didn't expect to see so many of you.
A gurgling, disfigured voice calls out from nearby. On the rocky outcrop over the lava, in a sort of nest, the chest begins to move. The wood and steel begins to grow. Nails and bolts start popping out of its massive frame. It's difficult to focus your eye on the shifting, morphing, and warping monstrosity. It changes its corporeal form as easily as the lava boils. Below you, and to look at it gives you a headache. Ethereal, strange, it feels like it has an absence of identity, the type of beast that rests on its shapeshifting to be able to trap its prey. The creature lets out what you believe to be a chuckle, but it feels like needles piercing your eardrums. Well, it's a giant fucking mimic. Look at, he's got a fucking ring on his tooth. What a baller of a mimic, not gonna lie. He's got a monocle? The fucking mimic has a monocle.
Oh my, pleasure to see you. I'm sure you've heard tales of creatures who hide as banal objects and lie in wait for adventurers to come across them.
It lets out what you think is a sigh, the calamitous noise echoing around the insides of your skull.
An unsuspecting dungeoneer tries to open a simple door.
The being in front of you suddenly solidifies, churning flesh hardening into stone and wood. To all intents and purposes, it looks like a door.
An ordinary barrel.
The beast shifts again.
An enticing chest.
The enormous shapeshifter changes again, solidifying back into a large treasure chest.
Ambimac?
Rain asks, baffled.
Impressive. You're far smarter than the fools I usually get coming to the island. Makes me wonder why you didn't sense the danger and retreat when you had the chance.
The enormous mimic opens its lid as a mouth, and you see a maw full of terribly sharp teeth and a drooling tongue, which licks them sloppily.
Only to be eaten alive!
The whole crew tenses.
And now my harmless egg has brought you here.
An alpha mimic, mutters Captain Randy, gobsmacked. You know, gobsmacked is an interesting word for a goblin. Is that just called... Do they just say smacked at that point? Rather than being gobsmacked, I'm just smacked? What have I done? As if being called, the egg plops down at the captain's side. Legs grow from its base and it scuttles towards the alpha mimic. It's not Godsmacked reference. Gobsmacked is actually a word. It's a real word. At least it's not a Sigma mimic. So the legs grow from its base and it scuttles towards the alpha mimic. There's no reason to try and stop it. The creature must have an innate ability to detect its children. Following its path, you spy a clutch of similar eggs, all gold or jeweled, all nestled around the base of the mimic. You nudge Captain Randy and nod over to them, and you see the way that his eyes shine.
Wonderful things, aren't they?
The alpha mimic drools.
Learning how to catch their own prey. Luring their unsuspecting victims into their mother's jaws. Like spiders spin webs. Like scorpions sting mimics lure. It is our purpose.
While the alpha mimic is speaking, your egg scampers across a series of stepping stones, crossing the lava flow to nestle itself among the gold and jewels on another ledge.
So what is your purpose?
The mimic sneers.
Treasure and meat.
Go to 307. The alpha mimic becomes a twisting, roiling thing. Its half treasure chest, half incomprehensible monster. A long, lashing tongue reaches out of its jagged maw for you and the crew, and Rain splits into half a dozen versions of themselves in readiness. The alpha mimic attacks wildly, striking out at each of your party members to try and throw you into the lava. Fight the alpha mimic. The alpha mimic attacks you once per turn. Holy fuck, this thing's stats. It has 340 goddamn hit points. Woo, doggy. Alright, let's go back to our battle mode. Only 340. I'm sorry that's not impressive enough for you, Tyrus. Alright, turn on our battle music. Roll initiative. This thing has a +1 to initiative. So it gets an 11. We... Load faster. We get... an 11, but we have much higher dexterity, so we go first. Alright, so the mechanics for this fight are... once per turn, we roll a d4 and consult a table to see what our companions do to help us hit the monster. We get the captain's inspiration, the first mate's magic, the sailor's assistance, and the bugbear's might. So we go first. Gobbie Lynn, what can you do here? This thing has a speed of 30 feet. It tries to grab you and toss you into the lava. Does it have fire resistance? It does not. Huh. Okay, chat. Chat, here's my idea. So, how big do you think this room is? Let's get a, where was this? Oh man, I don't remember. But how big of a space between the mimic and the lava do you think there is? From the general look of the room, would you say perhaps 15 feet between the mimic and the lava? So first we're gonna roll to see what the which companion helps us out this round. We got a 3, so we are being helped by Rain. Rain will immediately deal 1d4 plus 2 damage. Excellent, 6 out of 340. So Rain does 6 damage to the Mimic, and also we have advantage on all attack rolls into the end of our next turn. If only there was someone who could decide that, some sort of rule master. Well, that's why I'm asking you, chat. You guys get to decide that. Here's the vote. Chat, do you think this mimic is 15 feet away from the lava? That is the question. Vote A for yes, B for no. Actually, we'll say 10 feet away from the lava. That's more applicable. So we got a vote for A for yes, for that it's 10 feet away from the lava. Any other votes? Give you a few more seconds. Okay, so yes, we've got 2 votes that it's between 5 and 10 feet away from the lava master fail with your 8.16 feet. Alright, so here's what we're gonna do on our turn. Gobbie Lynn is going to walk into melee with the Mimic, and she's going to power chord it. So the way this is gonna work, the Mimic does get a +3 to its con save. If the Mimic fails its Constitution save, it's gonna get knocked into the lava, and the lava is going to do a bunch of damage to it on the start of its turn. How does that sound, chat? It's very situational, but it could happen. So, we are going to try and have... We're going to cast a Thunder Wave for 9 damage. Now the Mimic has a D20 plus 3 to its Constitution saving throw. Let us see if we knock it into some fucking lava, baby. So it has to roll a natural 9 or less. Damn it, it saved. So, moot point, but we do 5 damage to it, so it's at 11 out of 340. We can try that one more time. You know, it's worth a shot. It's worth a shot. So, Chester Von Keist is the name of the Alpha Mimic. It can make 2 attacks per round, 1 with a tongue toss and 1 with a treasure spray. We are gonna start off with the tongue toss. So it's gonna try and give us a good licking. It rolls a d20 plus 5 for its attack roll. It definitely is going to hit us. And then we can make a acrobatics check to try and dodge out of this. Which is, we have to get an 18. We have a +4 to this. Nat 20! Nat 20, baby! We'd love to see it. So, fucking, this thing wraps its tongue around us, and fucking Gobbie Lynn, she's like,
Oh, I've got plenty of experience with shibari. No licking today.
and she squirms out of its tongue, using her years of BDSM training to get out of the bindings before she can get flicked into the lava. It's now going to try and spit some treasure at her, but it will have disadvantage on this. So it's a 14 and an 8, so an 8 misses. So it flicks a gold coin at her, and it just goes way over her head because she's in melee. Alright, start of Gobbie's next turn. We roll the d4 to see which companion helps us. A 1! That is El Captain. So he gives us inspiration. He does 1d6 plus 2 damage. So 6 more damage, so we are at a total of pleb. Got what I got here. So 5, so 11, so we're at 17 out of 340. And we get to add a d6 to our next attack roll, saving throw, or ability check, which will probably come in handy when we try to get hunted into the fucking lava. So we're going to try round 3 of trying to get this guy knocked into the lava with our last first level spell slot. Only 3 damage, goddamn. Not a good roll. Damn it, he got a 13! He perfectly saves. He takes only 2 damage, and he doesn't get knocked into the lava. Fuck me. It seemed like a good idea, chat. It seemed like a good idea. I'm sorry it didn't play out. Alright, the Mimic is going to try and fondle me some more, as everyone is wont to do. Try and give her the old tongue lashing. 16 is enough to hit. I thought I boxed that level. No, I didn't, I guess. So now we make our acrobatics check. It's only a 14, but we get an extra d6 to this because of Randy's inspiration. For 6, baby! We dodge it again! We're dodging. So yeah, he tries to sloop in. Randy's like, hey, fucking duck, lady! And she ducks using her bazongas as a counterweight. And the tongue just goes over her head. He will then try and... Or the Mimic's gonna try and spit some gold at me. It's gonna miss. It has disadvantage. So on our turn, we get a d4. Which is Randy again. Randy's like, all right, well, I keep doing stuff. Keep attacking. So he does an extra 3 damage to it. We are at 22 out of 340. Is this really? Do we have to grind this thing down? 340 goddamn hit points? Wow. Apparently we do. This is going to be quite the slog. Let me see something. It's pretty good at this, but... Oh. You know what? Fuck it, chat. Fuck it. That's what I'm saying here today. Fuck it, we're doing it live. Gobbie Lynn sees how much of a slog it is to go through all of these hit points. So she is going to check something. Damn, I can't. She is going to crack her knuckles. She's gonna fucking try and grapple and shove this thing. So she's gonna try and flex. So this thing has a +3 to its strength check, and I only have a +2 to athletics. So I am in the weaker state here. So I got a 13 plus a d6 +4, so a 17. The mimic gets a 7. So Gobbie Lynn just fucking cracks her knuckles, grabs this mimic by its tongue, and starts shoving it forward towards the edge of the lava. And she pushes it 5 feet. Needs to get it another 5 feet, so next turn she can shove it into the lava. But it is currently grappled. It is going to try and lick her again. It'll hit. Now Gobbie has to do another acrobatics check. Dirty 20. Everything is coming up Gobbie Lynn, but she is a master of lickcraft. World of lickcraft, if you will. Alright, so she continues, now that she is, you know what? Fine, Master Fail. How could she grapple anything if her arms are shorter than her booba? She fucking chest bumps this thing. She is chest bumping it with such force from her rippling booba that it is bouncing backwards. Fair enough. So, on her turn, I'm just trying to see if it's a... Do I have to, like, make another athletics check, or can I just shove it? You've heard of Gobbo with a fat ass, now get ready for Gobbo with some huge bazongas. She also has a fat ass. She's multi-classing. Okay, grappling. Shoving a creature. Okay, so we do have to shove it again. Okay, so now we're going to roll to see which companion is going to help us. A 3. I think that's Rain again. God damn, we keep getting Rain or the fucking Goblin. Alright, so Rain does a d4 plus 2. So another 6, so we're at 28 out of 340. And gives us advantage on our attack rolls. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to say that Rain will give us an advantage on this shove. Because Rain's going to duplicate and try and help us push this thing. So we have advantage on our athletics check to try and shove this thing. Which we needed, so we get a 13. This thing gets a 19. Fuck! Alright, chat. Here we go. Here we go. We're gonna try and risk it for the biscuit. We are going to use our inspiration roll to try and re-roll this. We're gonna try and re-roll this. We need to get a natural 18 to beat this thing. I'm gonna keep giving us advantage on it because it's important. Raid is helping us still, so we get advantage to basically roll again. And we have to get at least a natural 18 to be able to shove this thing. 20! We got the nat 18! We technically didn't even need Rain for it. What? So, with a a hulking, you know, full-on Gobbie Lynn backs up, almost bending over backwards to get the momentum as Rain is shoving against this thing. And then she springs forward like a jack in the box, and her enormous bazongas bounce into this giant mimic. And it looks quite surprised as it bounces into the lava. I'm going to check something real quick as a comparison point. So this is 7. Two. Well, that's not helpful. Alright, sorry guys. I was looking at something. Alright, now we need to look up what lava damage is. The game doesn't tell you. So, what is lava damage? D&D lava damage. Being close to lava does 1d6. Waiting does 5d10. Falling in does 10d10 fire damage. We're gonna say it fell into the lava, so it's gonna take 10d10 damage. $42, baby! Hell yeah. That was quite the help. So that's 60, 60, that is a flat 70 damage. So 42 is 70 damage out of 340. I wield gigantic oversized swords and I have a huge ass and giant titties to counterbalance swing it. Don't bring physics at me, it just works. So, yeah, Gobbie Lynn bounces this giant mimic into the lava stream, and it looks very surprised as it's now, like, being immolated by this fire. On its turn, it is going to try and break free of Gobbie Lynn's grapple. So, it gets a, it gets its D20 plus 3. 18, that's pretty damn good. But we got a 19, baby! We got a 19! This thing is really trying to lash to free itself from the lava, as Gobbie Lynn and Rain are just, like, pushing it down into the fucking lava still. Gobbie Lynn is gonna maintain her turn to just keep fucking submerging this, this giant mimic for 62 more damage. And let's see which companion helps her. So, oops, that was not what I meant to do. But yeah, fuck it, it's a 2. So I think that's Opal this time. So Opal does 1d8 plus 2. We take half damage until the end of our turn. So 1d8 plus 2. 10 damage, baby! We're fucking this thing up. Okay, so yeah, so Opal, Rain gets tossed aside as this mimic is struggling in the lava, while Opal comes up and starts casting, like, she's a water mage, so she, like, does a katara and, like, opens up some water flasks on her, and, like, this basically, like, shield of, like, ice and stuff starts forming around Gobbie Lynn that is deflecting, various coins that are flying at her and everything. So on its turn, it's going to try and break free again. Unfortunately, we don't have advantage on this anymore because we don't have Rain helping us. So it gets a 19. Fuck, that's going to be real hard for us to bust out of. So this is just a straight roll for us. 15. Yeah, so after being burned a shit ton, the Mimic is able to knock Gobbie Lynn aside now that Rain isn't helping anymore, and flops back onto ground. But because it's grappled, it can't move any farther after getting out. So it basically gets on the ground. Well, actually, that would be breaking free of the grapple. My bad. So it breaks free of the grapple, but is now like on the ground again. But it's taken 142 damage. So on Gobbie Lynn's turn, let's see who helps us out. 3. That's Rain again. You know what that means. Rain helps us out. Back into the drink with ye. 149. Sorry, 149 out of 340. Gobbie Lynn flexes those muscles, and she says,
"Let's try this again."
And she, with advantage, is going to try and shove this thing back into the lava. That's a 19. We love to see it. Ah, damn it. The tie goes to Defender on the grapple. So, Gobbie Lynn really straining against this thing, but it unfortunately is resistant to it. And is now, like, really trying to push against her. Now, you know what I'm going to do as a bonus action? Gobbie Lynn is going to light a fuse on one of those bombs that we bought at the market. All right, the Mimic's turn. Mimic's turn. It's going to try and lick Gobbie Lynn. 24 easily succeeds. Gobbie Lynn tries to dodge. She gets advantage because of Rain helping out. Nope, not enough. Oh no, 18 is enough, sorry. 18 is enough to succeed. So Gobbie Lynn continues to duck and weave. Rain helping distract the thing. It's very burned up and angry. Gobbie Lynn is going to... She is going to try and shove this bomb into the Mimic's mouth. Actually, better idea. She lights a second bomb, and she's going to try and shove them both into the Mimic's mouth. So, we're going to do this as a rapier attack. Oh yeah, first we have to determine who helps us, because we might get advantage on the attack roll. Oh shit, Ribcage this time is helping. Ribcage just bonks it for 2d6 plus 6 damage. For 12 more damage. So that's 161 out of 340. Alright, so we don't have advantage on this, but Gobbie Lynn is going to try and shove these bombs into the Mimic's mouth. A 15. It has an AC of 12, so we managed to do it. So Gobbie Lynn has these two bombs that she lights, and she grins maniacally as she will bounce off the ground with her giant ass to bounce over to its mouth and drop both of these bombs into its mouth, which will do 2d6 fire plus 2d12 force damage. So here is the fire, and then here is the force. Eh, that's okay. 13 more damage. I wonder if Obsidian's tired of this battle, if only there were some topics she dropped. I'm just amazed they gave this thing 340 hit points for a single person fighting it. So we drop both bombs into its mouth hole. On its turn, it's going to try and lick us again. . It misses? Ha ha ha! With that, we see what companion we get, and we're gonna try and shove it in the lava some more. 2 is the... That's Opal, giving us another ice shield, so we take half damage. And then we are gonna try and shove this motherfucker. We can't succeed. Unless we roll a nat 20, we can't succeed. We did not, in fact, roll a nat 20. So we fail to dislodge the giant mimic. It gives us another old lickaroo. Gonna hit this time. We once again dodge. We're killing it dodging this thing. See what companion we get. A 1, so we get the captain. He does, I believe, 1d6 plus 2. For 5 more damage. That is... Sorry, I just lost track of how much damage I did to this thing. 5 is... 1... Oh man, I totally lost track of what I rolled. Alright, so 13 is 174, so 179 out of 40. I think they did kind of expected you to lose. I think they're supposed to be like you get grabbed by the tongue and something happens, but I'm just too good for that shit. I am just too good. This thing is busy dealing with the fact that it has a skill issue compared to me. So I'm gonna get a d6 on my shove attack. Oh, it only got a 7. I can do this. I can do this. 11, baby. I'm gonna succeed. Punt it into the lava. Back into the briny deep. $58 more damage. 179 plus... This is where I get math is hard. 237. We have, we almost killed this thing. In defiance, I think, to how it's supposed to play out. So it is currently in the lava. It's gonna try and break free this turn. For 21, that's gonna be hard-pressed to beat it. Yep, it's able to break free. We get as our support staff the captain again. Deals 1d6 plus 2 for 5 damage, so we're at 242 slash 340. And we say another one. Oh, that's not good. That's not a great situation. So we're at a total 14, while it is at a total of 10. Skill issue, you dumb bitch, mimic. Back into the fire. Oh, that's 10d20. I was like, what the fuck? How do we get 100? There's only 10 dice. 59. Alright, it's down to 39 hit points. Our cheesing this thing is working out pretty well for us. On its turn, it tries to bust free. Nat 1, it cannot succeed unless we also roll a nat 1, which we did not. So it stays there in the fire, which means it's gonna just take all the damage. $62. Look at all those dice. So, yeah. I'm very curious. We're gonna look at what happens if it would have actually tossed us with its attack, because I'm very curious if there was a mechanic that we just kind of skipped because we never were able to get captured. So this is what happens if it would have flung us. The alpha mimic smashes through Rain's duplicates to reach you. Rain cries out in pain and drops to their knees. I like mine well done, it snarls. The mimic's lashing tongue, sticky coating, pulls you off your feet and hurls you into the air. At first, you think that you'll go sailing into the lava, but Rain throws themselves onto the appendage. Hands auf, ma friend! They scream, pummeling the monster with their mechanical arm. Thanks to them, instead of sailing out into the river of molten lava, you're tossed into the nearby ledge that Saphira's egg fled to. As you land among the coins and jewelry, you're an aggressive little click. You turn to see the open jaws and gnashing teeth of the egg's true form. It attacks you. You start this combat prone in melee range of the attacking egg. You have to fight the little egg fella. Just the little guy. If you reduce the mimic egg to 0... Alright, so you could potentially, like, you then get tossed over. So you kill the egg, and then you have to go rejoin your friends. Great Leaf, so you rejoin the fight with the mimic. Label, you get a healing potion. Okay, so that's how the fight is supposed to go. So basically, the tongue is supposed to flick us, throw us away. We fight the egg. Once we kill the egg, we rejoin the fight with the mimic. And in the intervening time, your pirate companions drop the mimic down to only 85 hit points and weaken it. So that's how we were not supposed to grind through its actual like hit point pool, but we were good. We were just in fact too good. Honestly, I think without the lava mechanic that we made up, I think that this fight would have become even more tedious than it ended up being. So, you know, good on us. Good on us. We fucked this mimic up. So yeah, there's the hurt mimic that you're supposed to do. So we drop it to 0. So it's, you know, okay. So in the fight, you know, Gobbie Lynn has just been bouncing this thing into the lava over and over again, shoving her boobs like it's a fucking Keijo match as this thing just keeps bouncing in. And it does like a Terminator 2 where it starts bubbling and trying to shift forms and stuff as it's being immolated in the fire of the lava as it's trying to get out of it, but Gobbie Lynn keeps shoving it back in. With a last surge of strength, the monster pulls a glowing black opal the size of an size of an apple from out of its own throat. It hurls the gem into the lava, and the ensuing explosion sends a pillar of molten stone rocketing upwards. It then begins shoveling more treasure, and you see more of the same glowing opals scattered throughout.
"You'll never leaving this place alive,"
it snarls.
"I'm never laying a hand on my treasure."
"Let's prove it wrong," Randy shouts, emptying his pack and shoveling treasure into it. Rain's duplicates split off, gathering whatever they can in their single remaining arms. The rest of the pirates back away from the injured mimic and follow Rain's example, filling whatever they have with them.
"No! Thieves! Stop!"
It redoubles its effort to shovel more treasure into the lava, and the explosions come faster and faster. So fast that a wave of lava washes over what remains of the mimic, taking a huge swath of its hoard into the flow. "Uh-oh," the captain says. "Not good." With one final horrid gargle, the alpha mimic falls into the lava below, its great body taking its clutch of golden eggs with it. Rain covers their ears and winces at the terrible sound, but looks relieved that the battle is over. A series of other detonations sound beneath the lava, throwing up sprays of quickly cooling stone, noxious fumes, and flame. "Run!" Opal cries, dashing for the exit. You and the pirates, laden with whatever treasure you could grab, dash back the way you came. At the entrance to the mimic's chamber, however, the captain stops and looks longingly back at the remaining riches. You and the others stop for a moment to see why. Hey Scarth, you just missed our battle against a giant mimic. We bounced it into lava with our huge pits and just kept bouncing it in there until it died, in actual defiance of the mechanics of the real fight. Such a shame, he says. Goodbye, my lovely dream. He then reaches down, using his toe to hook a jeweled crown in the pile below him. He flips it into the air and it lands on his head at a rakish angle. Then he jumps as more detonations sound and more of the treasure is destroyed by advancing lava. Which way? Rain asks the captain, who turns to you. Haven't steered us wrong yet, adventurer. Captain Randy says, what's it gonna be? Alright, chat, which way should we go? The dark path to the right or the faintly glowing path to the left? A or B, those are your choices for you to see. Alright, we got a vote for B, the glowing. Another vote for B, the glowing. We have 3 votes for glowing, so we're going the glowing path. You run down the glowing tunnel, the heat rising with every step. In the first chamber you come across, the ground is littered with puddles of solidifying rock that had been previously dropped from stalactites hanging from the ceiling. A distant explosion makes the floor tremble and a last few burning gobs fall. You and your companions run between the puddles, leading you through hotter and hotter tunnels and chambers. You don't linger long enough to be affected by the heat, just rushing for the exit. Once out of the trembling volcano, you look up to see the plume of smoke pouring out of the crater above. It has thickened, but the rumbling has subsided for now. It seems to have calmed itself down a bit, the captain says to no one in particular. But I think we should still get a move on. So you take your time helping each other down the cliff. You and your companions make good time, leaving the island the way you arrived. The carnivorous sunflower is already being reclaimed by the giant roots surrounding it when you pass. The gargantuan tanuki continues to doze in the shade, unbothered by the stirring of the volcano at the distance. The 5 of you travel in relative silence though the captain keeps looking over his shoulder at the volcano. The volcano occasionally rumbling behind you. What is it, Captain? Opal asks. So many years searching for Oki Island, and for what? An arm full of treasure? Actually, several armfuls of treasure, Rain says, jerking their head back at the duplicates, also laden with valuables. What more could you want? Good question, the captain says, and is silent until you reach the beach. Several worried crew members are waiting at the beach with a longboat.
Captain, one cries, you made it out! We were worried that it was you!
The volcano obliges him with a rumble. Still here, the captain says with considerable bravado. All of us are still here.
And with the spoils,
another crew member says, rushing to help the captain with his load of treasure. She helps deposit the riches in the longboat as the other helps Rain's duplicates, who seem to be struggling. A crew member approaches you and takes your load from you as well. Laden with so much treasure, plus ribcage's weight, the crew rows slowly back to the ship. Weariness overwhelms you, and you can see your team also sag into their seats. The excited pirates chatter about the treasure the whole way, but their questions go unanswered. Once aboard the Rapier Wit, the crew hauls first the captain and Opal, then the rest of you aboard, before getting to work on the load of treasure. Is there more treasure, Captain? Asks a crew member as he hauls gold and jewelry aboard. More than you could ever imagine, the goblin says distantly, his eyes fixed on the smoking volcano. So prepare teams to go aboard, sir? The sailor asks uncertainly. Captain Sharpsmellow's eyes twitch and his mouth jerks into a half grin, half snarl. Then his expression calms. Nah, he sighs. Then more firmly and loudly announces, Nah, there's nothing left there for us but a fiery death. But, Captain, I said no, he barks, pointing at the pile of rescued booty. We barely escaped with our lives, and that is a bloody miracle. The crew looks at each other confused as the captain continues, all except for Opal, Rain, and Ribcage, whose eyes are on the captain. I honestly wasn't sure we were gonna make it, and I led you in there for a dream. What the? Oh, sorry, I scrolled up accidentally. How a dream. You always got us out of trouble, Opal says.
And that is why we follow you, Captain.
Ribcage rumbles at him. The first time we've heard Ribcage talk all adventure.
Indeed. And that's why we follow you, Captain.
Ah, you always know just what to say, the captain sighs. The moment settles over you and the crew. The stillness stretches and only breaks when the volcano begins violently erupting in the distance. Magma and ash fly to the sky like fireworks to fall hissing into the sea, uncomfortably close to the ship. Let's get out of here, the captain says. The sails unfurl, the anchor is raised, and the Rapier Wit sets sail away from Oki Island into the setting sun, leaving behind enough treasure on the island to almost make certain death tempting. Almost, but not quite. The Rapier Wit makes good time out into the open ocean. The sea spray and whipping wind help clear the last of the volcanic stink from your nose and clothes. You are not alone as Randy, Rain, Opal, and Ribcage stand on deck, breathing deeply. Then the captain claps his hands. All right, let's see what we got, he announces loudly, points to a group of sailors. You lot, start all the treasure below deck. They spring into action to start moving the spoils of your adventure into the former brig. Ribcage, go below and count the take, the captain says. Then with a nod to you, he continues, go help him, and keep an eye on the rank and file. Make sure nothing gets pocketed until after the count. They're pirates, after all. He says the last part loudly enough to be heard across the deck, and the crew portering to loot share a look before continuing their task. You accompany Ribcage below deck, both of you watching the crew members carefully for sticky fingers. The bugbear directs them where to place things, separating coins from jewelry as well as a considerable number of obviously magical items. He finds 2 chairs, a small table, and some writing supplies to begin accounting for all the treasure. He notices your look.
Yes,
he says to your assumed question.
I'm the ship's accountant. Challenging position with Randy's, the captain's spending habits. Just imagine where we'd be without it.
He prepares an ink pot and a well-worn pen. After creating a basic ledger, he begins with the coins.
Please, he says,
gesturing at a chair,
have a seat and join me.
Shifting his weight on his relatively tiny chair, Ribcage reaches into a back pocket and produces his silver hairbrush. It seems for a moment he's feeling nervous about the task in front of him, but he just sets the brush next to the ledger.
Ah, that's better,
he says with a warm smile that softens his normally grim face. Today there are many firsts with the hulking bugbear. Now we could ask Ribcage how he got his name, ask Ribcage why he became a pirate, or spend some time with the bugbear in silence. Which would you rather do? A, B, or C? Ask him how he got his name, ask him how he became a pirate, ask him nothing at all in silence. Those are your questions. We got a vote for B, a vote for C, a vote for B, a vote for B, a vote for B. Alright, looks like B is going to be the controlling vote. So we will choose B. Watching the enormous bugbear hunched over his ledger at his counting, you ask him what brought him to a pirate's life.
You know, he says eventually, I never wanted to be a pirate, but then Randy gets an idea. Very difficult to shake it out of his thick skull.
A pile of coins is swept to one side. He marks a tally.
When he decided to go out to sea, his mum begged me to go along after him, to make sure he didn't get himself killed. And she was always my favorite aunt.
You widen your eyes and he confirms,
Cousins. He's actually older than me, and I always looked up to him. Metaphorically, of course.
Ribcage barrels on.
It went surprisingly well, I mean. Everyone he meets wants to kill him. That's par for the course with piracy. But we're pretty well off, and we're not dead yet. And that's about all you could hope for. If you were to join us, there would be many crews you'd be worse off with, you know.
He nods to himself as though he just said something quite profound, and turned back to his counting. Now, do we want to know his name or just sit in silence? You know, based on the votes we did, I'm just going to say we sit in silence, give Master Fail a little bone. 3 sets of footsteps thump down the stairs, and you turn to see Randy, Rain, and Opal making their way down into the impromptu vault of the Rapier Wit. "How's it looking, cousin?" he asks.
So far, 3,715 gold and 409 platinum pieces, he says. Some assorted jewels and jewelry that would need to be appraised, and then all of these.
He waves a beefy paw at several piles of items that are clearly magical, although their functions aren't clear. Rain approaches the piles with unveiled curiosity, trailing their remaining hands over parts of the collection. "Not sure I've ever seen so much magic in one place before." "Opal, you recognize any of these?" the captain asks. His first mate approaches the seemingly random pile of gear. "I do, actually. Quite the collection. A little something for everyone. Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" "A bonus for the officers, of course?" Randy turns to you. "You go ahead. Take your first pick. We never would have made it here without you." The 4 pirates turn to see what you'll pick from the first pile. So we get 1 magic item out of this list. We get a ring of jumping, which, sounds like it is. Allows you to do the jump spell. A brooch of shielding, which makes us resistant to force damage and immune to magic missile. A bag of holding. Basically, it's a bag of holding. A belt of dwarven kind. You grow a beard. Or boots of speed. Which would you rather us pick? The ring of jumping, the brooch of shielding, the bag of holding, the belt of dwarven kind, or the boots of speed? With the belt of dwarven kind, we would grow a beard, and I am not about that life. Pick Opal, she's magical too, that counts, right? It should, hopefully. We have 1 vote for the ring of jumping. Any other votes? One vote for boots of speed. Grow beers, surprise, transmask rep art. Okay, so we've got a vote for the ring of jumping and a vote for the boots of speed. Any other votes? I'm going to give 10 seconds for anyone else to vote. 8 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 1 Mississippi. Okay, we are going to do a roll-off between the ring of jumping and the boots of speed. So it's just a single D4. 1 to 2, it's the ring. 3 to 4, it's the boot. 1 is the roll, so we get the ring of jumping. Ring of jumping. Okay. Now we are a jumping bead. Exactly, Vaughn. Once we've picked our award, we go to 335. Oh shit, there's more magic here. After you've made your selection, the 4 companions take turns choosing from remaining. Good choice, Opal says to you. Now on to the next set. What's it going to be? So now we get to choose Boar Hunter's Armor. It's +1 leather armor that you do not have disadvantage when making attacks within 5 feet using bows or crossbows. That's kind of useless because we don't use a bow or crossbow. Bracers of Defense. If we're not wearing armor, we get +2 AC. The Cloak of Elvenkind, we have the enemy gets disadvantage to see us, and we get advantage on stealth checks. The Lambert Chain Shirt. I don't think we're proficient with medium armor as a bard, so that doesn't really help. And Wooden Shield gives +2 AC when held, and also allows you to cast the shield spell once. I'm gonna be honest. I think here's the 3 things. I'm gonna say that the only choices are the bracers, the cloak, or we get 450 gold. Because the other items don't really fit with a bard. We're proficient with light armor, but a chain shirt in what's it called? A chain shirt in 5e is a medium armor, if I recall correctly. Someone can Google that to contradict me, but I believe a chain shirt is medium armor in 5e. Yeah, so our options are Bracers of Defense, Cloak of Elvenkind, or just a flat-out payment of 450 gold. So which would you guys rather have? Bracers of Defense, Cloak of Elvenkind, or 450 gold? Yeah, that's how it was in 3rd edition, Vaughn, which is why that's how it is in Pathfinder. Hello, Crafty Kaiju! We got 2 votes for Cloak of Elvenkind. Welcome, welcome, little Kaiju. Any other votes? Alright, Cloak of Elvenkind wins out. Everybody voted for it. Okay. So we get our trusty stealth cloak going on. I am having a good day, Kaiju. We're just finishing up this adventure, so we're getting all of our swag from it. I was helping for that one, Randy says to you. That's fair enough. There's no shortage of consolation prizes. The 4 pick from the remaining items for themselves. One last file to go through, Rain says, their eyes shining. Go ahead, I know which one I want. Here is our final items. We have a vicious battle axe, which is pretty good, but not good for us because we're dex-based bards. The Guardian Katana, also not terribly great for us because we're dex-based. The Cautious Dagger. It's a dagger that is a +1 dagger, and we gain advantage on initiative rolls. A Bow of Vines, which is a magic short bow, but not super good for us. Staff of the Mimic, the +1 quarterstaff that also acts as an arcane focus that gives +1 to attack rolls. As a bonus action, you can make it into any handheld object 5 pounds or lower. Efficient quiver. Oh my god, so guys, hear me out. Hear me out. I think we should do the Staff of the Mimic, and here's the reason why. It's a +1 staff, yeah, that gives +1 to spell attack rolls, which is kind of whatever, because most of ours are saving throws. But, as a bonus action, you can turn it into any other mundane object. So we could literally transform it into our guitar whenever we want. Aside from that, none of these items are terribly great. So I would also be open to just taking 600 gold. So the dagger is good. The dagger is also good. To be honest, we could probably have the dagger in our Oh my god. More brilliant thought. More brilliant thought, Vaughn. Before people settle in on a vote, hear me out. Hear me out. So you know how we have our bass guitar is what we use for our rapier. We could have as an offhand weapon the dagger be our guitar pick for it. That way we get the advantage on initiative rolls, but we don't actually need to use the dagger as a weapon. So, with that in mind, what do you guys think we should do? The dagger, the staff, or 600 gold? I know Master Fail wants us to buy a lot of dice sets with that 600 gold. So, in light of this, those are your three options to pick from. Cautious Dagger, Staff of the Mimic, or 600 gold. Gotcha, Kaiju. Yeah, this is the first time we've played a solo D&D adventure. It's been pretty fun. I hope chat's found it fun. Chat designed our character. We had a vote on it, and then chat decides all of our choices. This is Gobbie Lynn. Gobbie Lynn Bernadette, our goblin bard, and her magic bass guitar. We have 0 spells that use spell attack rolls. Fun. So it's not currently useful for us to have the +1 to attack rolls for spells. Oops, that's the wrong picture. Okay, so we got a vote for dagger then. We have 1 vote for dagger. Yeah, the gold is the least interesting, but you know, if people want to choose that, that is what it is. Our cautious guitar pick. Any other votes? We got a vote for the dagger. Doesn't look like anybody else is going to be voting, so I guess we're going to take our cautious guitar pick. Sweet. Alright, with that, we... Wonderful, Randy says. The smile ticks momentarily into a slightly manic grin. What a rush, Ribcage. Once you're done with the final count, set aside enough for expenses and then divvy the rest up among the crew.
Expense and debts?
Ribcage asks warily. Is there enough? The captain asks, gazing over the pile of treasure. Well, fine, I suppose. Seems like such a shame, though. I was hoping...
Londo!
Comes a cry from above deck.
Ha 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 ha! Are we there already? I've been looking forward to this.
He shepherds you and your companions above deck into the rail.
What is it, Capitan?
Rain asks.
That's what we're here for.
Randy excitedly points out to the outcropping of rock jutting up from the sea.
Duck Island.
It's got a big skull with a duck on it. The island that comes into view on the starboard side of the ship is unusual for the one massive rock outcropping on it that would be mistaken for nothing more than a skull. What is much more unusual, however, is the massive white duck that appears to be resting on the top of the skull. Rain seems confused.
Shouldn't it be called skull as... Don't tell the duck,
Randy interrupts. This again, Captain? Opal asks. Don't you remember what happened last time we passed Skull? I mean, Duck Island?
It's worth it, Randy says. This is a true wonder of the seas, and who knows when we'll next have a chance to see it.
Ribcage sets a heavy hand on your shoulder. He quietly says in your ear,
Whatever you do, don't provoke the duck.
As if it heard the grim warning, The duck slowly turns to regard the rapier wit. Everyone freezes where they stand. Even the waves seem quieter, with the only sound being a faint clicking from Rain's mechanical arm. We can try to intimidate the duck, soothe the duck, or ignore the duck. What do you guys want to do? And thank you, Kaiju. I'm glad you enjoy my voices. Press A to intimidate, B to soothe, and C to ignore. Alright, we have 3 votes for soothing and 1 vote for intimidating. I'm just going to give a few more seconds if anyone else decides to vote. I don't think seduce is an option. Seduce, soothe, it's the same difference. Alright, we're gonna try and seduce the duck. You gaze at the duck and get nothing back except pure malice. When its feathers start to bristle, you try to placate the animal. That'll never work, Opal says, although you can see the hope in her eyes that you'll be able to calm the bird. Oh man, it's an animal handling check. Yikes. Oops, sorry. Misclick. Alright, animal handling. We have a +1 to this. Because we are proficient. Oh. Alright. Here's my plan. Here's my plan, chat. I'm gonna say, as we were approaching Duck Island, we cast Speak with Animals to give us advantage on our animal handling check with this duck. Just to see. Chat, I'm going to show you what I rolled. It is a DC 18. We speak the language of ducks. Exactly. It is a DC 18, and we rolled a 19. We quack with the best of them. So, DC 18 animal handling check. Let's go. The duck on its rock bristles and its bill snaps open and shut in agitation. A low, ominous quacking grows steadily louder as it emanates from the bird. You start to shush the duck, making placating gestures, speak quietly and calmly. You work every trip you've learned to calm a stressed animal. Is it working? Randy asks. I can't tell if it's working. It's definitely working, Captain, Opal says, a little awestruck. Somehow it's working! The pitch of the duck's quacking rises from the threat to a question, and then fades altogether.
Very impressive,
Ribcage whispers. Rain, the captain intones as gently as can. If you'd be so kind, drop the sails. It's best we, be on our way now. Aye, Capitan! Just a little too forcefully. The others wince and glance back at the duck. Then it stays docile. Everyone sighs with relief. Good work, Randy finally says to you. The sails drop and the ship lurches with the additional wind. You maintain the cooing and shushing until the duck and its island are left behind the rapier wit. We've seen Duck Island, Opal says. Are you ready to chart a course now, Captain? Indeed, the captain says with a smile. Right after a soak in that tub. Never got a chance under that prig Solaris. Rain drops into the middle of your cluster. You may have to wait a little longer, Captain. Sails approaching. Who is it? Randy demands. You would not believe me, Rain says, handing the captain a spyglass. The goblin props the spyglass up on a banister, and once he finds the ship, he gasps. He looks again and readjusts the spyglass. Who is it, Captain? Opal asks. She cranes her neck in the direction of sails just appearing on the horizon. I don't believe it! What do we do, Captain? Opal says, squinting in the distance.
make a run for it? Bring us around on an intercept course, Randy calls. Then he says quietly to himself, I have to see this up close. The rapier wit turns, and as the distance closes, you can see that the approaching ship is a ragged collection of mismatched wood. Its sails patched, it's in multiple colors, and the captain's cabin is an actual cabin built on the aft deck. I can't believe it, Opal says, staring at the approaching vessel. How does it even stay afloat? As the ship nears, you can see its crew. Diminutive, scaly creatures with spines bristling from their heads. It's impossible to tell exactly how many as they errantly rush about on deck, even diving into the water and climbing aboard. Brine fins? Rain cries. What are you doing, Capitan? That's not all, he said, pointing. Look at the rest of the crew! Rain shades his eyes as Randy hands you the spyglass. You see a muscular man with a red coat and thick white beard, a woman with red hair and what appears to be an altered pink gown, a despondent man in a vest pushing around a mop and sporting a still magnificent mustache. It's the fucking previous captain, the noble lady, and her fucking butler of the crew. Man, noble lady became hot as hell when she became a pirate. Saphira be rocking that shit. Francis? Rain shouts and the bearded man lifts a hand in greeting. Saphira and Solaris? The ships close the distance and Randy is grinning. You suspect there may even be tears of joy at the corners of his eyes.
Permission to come aboard, Captain Sharpsmile.
The forward reporter calls from his ship. Granted, get up here, Captain
Whitebeard.
Ropes are tossed back and forth and the two ships tie themselves up. Captain Whitebeard comes aboard the rapier wit with his crew. We can ask what happened, congratulate him on his new career, or stay silent as the others talk. What do you guys want to do? I know I'm curious what went down on Flotsam. Or Flotsam, sorry. All right, we got a vote for A. Any other votes? All right, A it is. You ask the newly minted captain what happened after Flotsam. Francis, or Whitebeard, can't contain his glee at recounting the tale.
Well, for starters, I met these little rascals.
He tousles the fins atop a nearby brine fin like he would a child's hair.
As it turns out, they aren't so bad. A bit directionless, needed a firmer hand. They took to discipline quite well.
Francis practically raised me, Saphira laughed, but I never saw this side of him. Daddy would have had him whipped if he ever said no to me.
Indeed, and look where that got you, Miss Saphira. When I got to Brigand's Bay, you were a scullery maid.
3 whole days, Saphira says to you, holding up 3 fingers. It was a nightmare. Thank goodness Captain Whitebeard arrived when he did. But how did he free you? Randy says, still all smiles. Saphira laughs, not demurely, but from the belly. He brought the brine fins to Elidir's jewelry shop and wouldn't take them back without me. And what about him? Rain asked, pointing at Solaris with their mechanical arm. He was part of the deal, Saphira says. Elidir would only let me go if Francis also took Solaris.
I was the captain of this ship once, Solaris grumbles. Why should I have to push a mop around?
He tried to order the other servants around, didn't he?
Randy winks at the former captain of the Sun Dancer. Saphira nods, hiding her laugh behind a hand.
But he's working his way up,
Francis says. He puffs his chest up with pride.
He's already been promoted from chamber pots to swabbing the deck.
Solaris shudders and turns a little green, but is quickly distracted by a Brianfin pulling at his clothes and chattering something at him. You let the others talk and laugh, telling stories of the last few days. Your own Captain Sharpsmile recounts your adventure on Oki Island with barely any embellishment. On his side, Francis tells about how he quickly trained his crew of rambunctious sea creatures. He had them mostly housebroken when the people of Flotsam started to return. He put the Brianfins to work cleaning up their mess, and as a thank you, the mayor of Flotsam gifted them the ramshackle ship.
Old Felix did that for you, eh? Randy said. There had to be some catch.
I think he just wanted the Brianfins gone.
That's absolutely the case, you old fool, Saphira adds warmly. The Brianfins run amok on the deck of the ship, to the general mirth of the pirate crew of the Rapier Wit. Solaris tries to find a place to mope, even moving to the bow to look forlornly over the tub he built.
Let's continue this in my cabin,
Randy suggests. He leads the way, pulling something from the cabinet by the door.
Solaris!
Captain Sharpsmile barks. The former captain jumps and turns towards the scowling goblin in the door.
Told you I left it back on the ship.
Randy is shaking an elegant bottle that shines with its own inner light.
Join us for a drink?
I'm sorry. My star glimmer wine! You! Solaris' face darkens with anger for a moment. Then he relaxes. Yes, I would like a drink. Opal and Saphira share a smirk as the now deckhand follows you into the captain's cabin. The star glimmer is delicious in an indescribable way and provides the perfect refreshment after your long voyage at sea. The conversation lulls into a companionable quiet, each person lapsing into a private reverie. When the last of the wine is finished, Randy turns to Francis and Saphira.
So what's next?
We're making our way towards the continent,
the elderly captain says.
We'll put into port, put our feet up, show the crew what civilized manners look like.
To punctuate his wish, there is a crash and a Brianfin snarl from outside the cabin door. It's followed by cheers and guffaws from the pirates. Saphira smiles and Solaris cringes.
That's perfect,
your captain says as he turns to you.
This is where we part ways, my friend. We were going to drop you off ourselves, but if Captain Whitebeard is already on his way, then that gets us on our way that much faster.
Where are we going, Captain? Opal asks.
To sea, cries the wild grin. It's the Rapier's Wit's purpose to sail. The only reason for its existence. A ship in the harbor is nothing but scenery.
But where? Rain asks him, looking around to the rest of the collected crew. Ribcage lays a hand across Rain's shoulders and gives them a little pat. He shrugs, then nods with a sage smile.
Exactly, cousin. Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, where's one final matter of business?
Randy turns on you and pulls a knife from his belt, brandishing at you. There's a collective gasp from the rest of the room, but then the goblin flips the knife in his grip and presents the handle to you. Opal snorts with barely contained laughter.
We have a little tradition that when crew members leave, they carve their names in the mast. I'd be honored to take your name with us.
Do we wish to carve our name into the mast or refuse and say goodbye? We gotta carve our name. Any other votes? Anybody Anybody else between the carve our name and just peace out? B, fuck them all. I respect it, Master Fail. We currently have a tie. Anybody else want to vote? Alright, Tyrus. Have a good lay down. Anyone else want to vote between carving and telling him to fuck off? Otherwise, I'm gonna roll odd or even. Oh, we got it for carve. So it looks like carving is winning out, Master Fail. I'm sorry. You take the knife and go out on deck. As the pirate crew sees you emerge with the knife, they go quiet. Then the brine fins take no heed and continue their noisy running about. Saphira places 2 fingers between her lips and blows a long, piercing whistle. The aquatic monsters freeze and all eyes turn to you. You walk in silence to the mast, and the only sound is the noise of you carving into the wood of the mast until you finish. A cheer goes up around the crew, or at least everyone except Solaris, who looks pained at what you've done to the ship. You're one of us now, Randy says as he claps you on the back. A pirate through and through! When you offer Randy his knife back, he waves it off. Keep it! It's not much good as a weapon, but it works brilliantly as a keepsake. Add Captain Randall Sharpsmile's knife to your inventory.
Everyone back to the ship!
Francis calls out.
Let's go, you little monsters!
You pile onto the patchwork ship while Randy, Opal, Rain, and Ribcage stand waving at the rail. The rapier whip pulls away towards the open ocean, while Captain Whitebeard takes command of the wheel of his vessel. Feet firmly planted on the deck and face pointing towards the future, piloting you onwards towards your next adventure. As you reach the end of your adventure, your character advances 1 level. The end. There we go, chat. We finished it. We finished the adventure. Yay! I hope you guys had fun. I'm glad it was. I went longer because we were very close to the end. I could tell, and I wanted to finish it. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. What'd you guys think overall? For those of you who've been here for more than one stream, did you like doing the solo adventure? Would you want to do more in the future? Or was this a good foray into the experience? I'll put a vote in the Discord as well, just so if anybody else wants to vote there, they can. But yeah, thank you guys for being a part of this. Really every step of the way. This all started with chat making our character, and then you guys guided the whole narrative. I hope you had fun. Gobbie Lynn Bernadette is a precious bean. She's now level 3. So we could have a vote on what her subclass is going to be as a bard. If people like doing this, we can vote on doing another adventure. For that adventure, we can choose to either make a new character or Gobbie Lynn can continue her shenanigans. Yes, you were so unpredictable. You chose a dummy thick goblin bard. Who could have seen that coming? Who could have thought we would end up with a goblin short stack? Exactly. Alright, if you haven't done so already, please give me a follow here on Twitch, a sub over on YouTube. You can follow me on Blue Sky, or you can join my Discord, the Eternal Citadel, and be a part of my incredible community. I want you all to know you're all beautiful, amazing, and valid people. I hope you enjoyed spending your afternoon with us nearly as much as I enjoyed spending it with you. And never forget the most important part, which is that the world is better having you in it. Whew, it was a draining finale, but I'm glad we finished it. Also, special shout out, chat, for us doing this whole lava mechanic and killing the 340 hit point mimic without doing the narrative cheesiness of having it actually fling us away and coming back. That's a huge shout out to you guys. Our bazongas were too powerful for this adventure. All right. That'll be it for our solo adventure and for our streams for the week. Tomorrow I have an electrolysis appointment, so that'll be my commitment. We'll be back here next week. My main D&D campaign, Nexus Forlorn Legacy, which is on Mondays, is on hiatus for the foreseeable future, like probably for the next month or so, because Maris is getting top surgery, and so he needs time to recover from that, so we will not be playing. So we're just going to be streaming Tuesdays through Thursdays until I get a job, basically. All right, if you're a follower, please copy down the call to hugs. If you are a sub, please copy down the Knight's message. We are going to be rating B. She is doing art right now, doing a recap of her vacation, apparently. Peculiar. Making sure I spell her name right. I did not spell it correctly. Okay. So be sure to copy those messages and let's go send B some love. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye.